Hi guys, this is Tim Chandler, the product manager at Nektar, and I'm here to introduce the Panorama P4, which is shipping at the end of this month, being June. So the P4 is a 49-note semi-weighted action keyboard, designed specifically with Reason 6 in mind. So the action is weighted. We've focused a lot on the dynamic range in particular. It's got a very broad dynamic range. The keyboard comes with aftertouch. We have all of the usual controls, the pitch bend and modulation, as well as some more unusual controls, such as a 100mm motorized fader. And as you can see, as I change the tracks in Reason, it will jump to the position to tell me exactly what the track volume is that I'm playing. So I always have control of my instrument track volume from the motorized fader. Going on to the Reason support, obviously this is what we've really focused on for the release of Panorama P4. There's 90 assignable parameters. All of them are used in a way that makes sense, particularly in the context of Reason. For example, there's 3 modes to Reason. There's the mixer mode, there's instrument mode, and there's transport mode. There's also internal mode, which takes you out of Reason control, and then if you're using Reason Rewired, for example, you can control your other DAW, be it Cubase, Logic, whatever. I'll come to Reason Rewire later because it actually works really well with this keyboard. But going back into Reason itself, the display, it's a TFT display, full color, and the title bar here is used to give you the track name, the mixer channel name, or the mixer channel number, and the instrument within that mixer channel. So as I change the track, I can see now I've got a subtractor, and I've got the name subtractor 1. Of course, I always have my fader following what I'm doing, and that's whatever mode I'm in. So if I go into instrument mode, as I track up and down, I don't just get the, in instrument mode I have a big patch display as well. So as I change the patch, you can see that it gives me a different patch name as well. So I'll just complete mixer mode to start with. In mixer mode, you're controlling the SSL mixer. I can press the view button to get to see this in Reason, and this is the case in all of the modes. If I go to instrument mode and press view, then it goes to the instrument rack, and in transport I go to the sequencer. And in mixer, of course, we want to see the full mixer. Every control within the SSL mixer is accessible from the Panorama just by pressing the menu button. And you can see in here, as I scroll up and down, I've got all of the controls, including the master bus control as well. When I select a page, I have my EQ controls over here. Turn the EQ on, of course. If I go back to the mixer, you can see that whilst I'm controlling the channel levels, I still have control of my mixer, my EQ over here. And that's the principle of what we're doing here. All of the controls have a purpose, and even though you can't see what they're doing in the display, they're still assigned to what you left them on. So instrument mode, the home page, as we call the instrument home page, you have the big patch display, which changes as you change the patches. You also have the 8 most common controls written here, and these are accessible using the 8 faders to the right of the display. If you want to go a little bit deeper, press the menu button again, and once again, every single parameter on that instrument is accessible from this menu, all laid out intuitively. So if I want to deeply edit the filter, select filter, hit edit, enter, and there's all of the filter controls for me. I'll come back to instrument mode in a bit, and we'll look at how you can create instruments on the fly without touching the QWERTY keyboard. Transport mode gives me very deep control of the transport, and what's good about this is in Rewire, because of the way that Reason works with other applications, in Rewire when you're controlling the transport of Reason using the loop points and things, this also changes the loop points in your DAW as well. So I can show you that quickly now if I go to the go to the sequencer view, I can flick between left and right easily here, and I can change the loop points. Once I set up my loop, perhaps I want to do a 2-bar loop like this. I can then flick over to the second page of transport. I can move the loop around like this. And this would work for rewire as well. You've got all the usual controls, the loop, rewind, stop, etc. You've also got undo up here. You can turn click track on and off. And you've got record quantize mode on and off here. And you can do your new dubs and new alts here within reason, so on and so forth. You've got pre-roll on and off. You can tap in the tempo. You've also got simply clock or bars and beats, and you can return to 0. So that's the kind of rundown of the 3 kind of modes of Reason, and that's how you navigate around Reason 6. Now we'll look at how do we actually create a track on the fly. So the Panorama P4 also supports QWERTY macros, but not just a single QWERTY macro. You can do several in a row. So you could, for example, do Control-C and Control-V if you wanted to copy a loop. What we're going to do here is we're just going to hit this one, which is accessing my instruments, and then I'm going to flick through the different instruments available. I can use the data wheel to scroll through them all as well. So I'm just going to select a 4 patch here. I'm going to hit enter. If I'm in instrument mode, you can see as I do this, if I change the patch now, it's changing the instrument, and it's also changing the patch name and every control that I've got there. So now I've got a Kong, and whichever patch I select, now I've got 4, I have immediate control over. So it's like I'm auditioning the instruments I want to use. Press patch again. This is another 4 patch, but you can go on, so on and so forth. Here's a combinator. Combinator is always useful for Reason users, of course, and with the combinator here you get the 4 rotaries straight up here and the 4 buttons right down here. Okay, so it's very easy to create instruments. How about effects? Well, for effects, again, it's a similar thing. You set up your QWERTY control, scroll through the different patches. Let's call up an alligator patch. Then I hit play, and there it is. I now have control of my alligator right in front of you. And I can trigger the high gate on and off. Of course, I need to make sure I've got the alligator. Turn it back on. So, and again, the alligator is a very deep effect. So again, there's menu, accesses every single control of alligator right here in front of this display. So combining the Reason support with the QWERTY macro support that we can do, very, very useful stuff. Okay, so we'll just look a little bit deeper at Kong. If I press the beat button, I can play the pads. If I press row D, I can control the top row of pads. Then you can easily flick back again. So we have control of the 16 pads of Kong from Panorama. I can press solo to solo the pads as well, and then mute as well. So obviously if you go to solo, then everything's muted. So I'm just going to try and record a quick, simple beat. There we go. So get a basic beat going, turn the click track off, and you can see what I recorded is playing back, so I can see everything I'm doing. I haven't actually looked at all over at this display because everything I need to while I'm recording and in my element is right in front of me. So back to instrument mode, I'm just going to select a different track and perhaps do something to go with that. Let's go to combinator track. Now of course this is going through an alligator, so I'm just going to go to the alligator track that's controlling it. Just have a little play around. Turn the record off, otherwise it will automate. Let's go and change the high pass a little bit. So what I've just recorded, I can duplicate by doing Control V, which I've called copy paste, and then many times as I need. Let's look a little bit deeper at the motorized fader. If I press the fader button, you can see there's the entire track, mixer track. Even though I'm in transport mode, instrument mode, it doesn't matter. But the entire track that I'm controlling is here in front of me. I've got the pan control, which comes from the data. And if I can change the parameter as well, so I've got RIP and all of the different sends as well. If I hold down the button, I can scroll through the assignments that I want to control. Mute and solo on the fly. Read and write is used to decide whether automation should read to the fader. So if read is off, if you do like that, then the fader won't jump around as I change tracks and things. Or if automation is playing back, it won't listen to it. And write obviously means that it will record the movements of the fader in automation. Other things I can do with the motorized fader, if I go to the top level, on the first page, I can lock it to the master volume control. So if we go to mixer mode and press view, you can see here now I'm controlling the master volume, and whichever track I select, it will stay controlling the master volume. In a similar way, if I go to, I can lock it to the specific channel. So now I'm locked to channel 11. You can see here I'm controlling channel 11. If you go to the mixer, you can see it on the display there. And so, and again, whichever track, I'm still controlling the channel 11. So if I want to control a specific track volume and keep it there, then that's what I do. I can lock it. Finally, the other mode for the fader is the control room. And this controls the control room level. I can also change the source of the control room using the data wheel and also the FX select. So there's a lot of functionality, a lot of control. And what's more, you're kind of mixing up mixer mode and instrument mode by playing instruments here. Let's find a track that's actually making some noise. I can still control the control room level at the moment, so let me turn that back onto Kong. I can still control the channel volume always, and whichever channel I select, I always know what the volume is because the fader is going to tell me so. I can obviously mute and solo on the fly as well, so as we're playing, I can mute it out, mute it in, or solo it as need be. Okay, so let's just a final look at the pads on Panorama P4. Now the pads work irrespective of reason. Now you saw when we selected Kong, they immediately mapped to Kong, and you could play around with mutes and solos. That was all going through reason. When you press the pads button, you're always outside of reason. This isn't now controlling any software you like, and just sending the standard MIDI notes. They also send controller data as well, so they have a velocity, they're pressure sensitive as well as velocity sensitive. There's a couple of different modes for the pads. You've got the velocity spread, whichever pad I played, then it's going to then give me a full spread of different velocities, which I can actually change for each pad individually, so I can set them as I need. The other mode that you have is scale mode. In scale mode, all of the pads hit a chromatic scale just by default. I can change the root note of the scale just by hitting root learn and then playing the note that I want to start the scale from. I can very quickly octave shift or transpose as well. And I can change the scale itself There's loads and loads of stuff in here. Pentatonics, crazy things, absolutely loads, all the way up to Gypsy. And so you can basically jam along in any scale without hitting a duff note, and just, you know, just play different styles of music, be creative in different ways. The actual pad maps themselves, if you want to learn a note, half the time you find a note, you know which sample you want, and it's on the keys down here somewhere. So you find the key you want. Like, I want this one to be on the bottom pad. So what I do, hit the pad I want, hit note learn, and then hit the pad, and it's learnt, just like that. So it's really, really, really easy to set up your pads the way you want them to be.